What is calling to Baylan? It's one of the most interesting aspects of the Ahsoka show. And there's actually a lot we could take away from Baylan's actions and his words in episode 7. And yes, I do think it all leads to Abeloth. And I also think Dave Filoni is saving the answer for what is calling to Baylan and what his actual purpose is for season 2 of Ahsoka. So in this video, we're going to dive deep on everything that was revealed about Baylan in episode 7 and talk about his journey from here. Why did he leave Shin behind? And real quick before we get into the craziness of Baylan, I did want to mention, if you've been enjoying the content we've been making around Ahsoka, then we're going to be doing the same thing for Loki season 2 very soon. I think Loki season 2 is going to be dope. I think there's going to be a lot of cool stuff to talk about. So subscribe to the channel. Just make sure you're hanging around for that stuff as well. Okay, so first up, let's talk about episode 7, everything that's in that episode. And in the back half of this video, we'll talk about the leaks, the rumors, the speculation, and talk about some really crazy stuff. In this latest episode, Baylan abandons duty, honor, and his Padawan. And we've clearly seen that he does have a lot of affection for Shin. And this was shocking and seemed kind of abrupt, but I do think it's important to keep in mind Baylan's exact power. Baylan can read people's minds and their motivations. He's able to get to the core driving factors for different characters. And normally he uses this power to undermine the focus and clarity of the warriors he's fighting against. He uses it against Sabine to get her to give him the map. He uses it against Ahsoka in order to throw her off her game and defeat her on Seago. And he's using this power again to know the full motivation and desires of Shin. Baylan knows what is in her heart, and he knows that Shin's desire and ambitions will put her on a different path than his. He knows that she really wants to take her place in this new empire. She desires to work for Thrawn. That's her ambition. And Baylan's path lies in another direction, literally and figurative. And I think another really interesting moment in the episode is when Ahsoka confronts Baylan. Baylan's not even disappointed to see her. He's surprised, but not disappointed. And he says to her, however, I can't let you interfere. And we don't really know this right away, but later it becomes clear he's talking about Ahsoka interfering with his plan, with his mission, not with what's going on with Thrawn and Shin and Ezra and Sabine. And we see this pretty clearly because after Ahsoka sort of Thor Ragnarok's Baylan, he sees her riding away and he has this pensive, introspective moment. We can see that Baylan is torn between going after Ahsoka, stopping her, and helping Shin, and his own desire, the thing that is calling to him. And after a couple of moments, he reserves himself to walk away from Shin, again, abandoning duty, honor, and going for the larger concept. He's going after his desire, walking literally in a different direction. And although we're not 100% sure where he's headed, to me, I think back to moments in episode 6 when he is looking out from the Night Sister castle to a big mountain, perhaps even a volcano that's off in the distance. As we talked about in our other video, which really lays out the whole Abeloth thing for you guys, Baylan is enamored. He is just taken aback when he finally gets to Peridia, and he's really having a lot of quiet, pensive moments, and tells Shin, of course, that something calls to him, something stirs there. Which, by the way, I do think is connected to Baylan's power. He's very unique in the sense that he can read pretty much everybody's minds, and he knows the motivations behind their actions. So he has some kind of a heightened sense to being able to read thoughts through the Force or feel things through the Force. And this is very likely why this ancient power, this thing that I believe is Abeloth, is actually calling to Lord Baylan. And although it's not explicitly spelled out, it's interesting that Thrawn recognizes that they are short one mercenary, and after asking where Baylan's skull is, he seems to quickly realize that Baylan will not be returning to this battle. Baylan will not be helping them him out, as he indicates that considering that they don't have Baylan, this first encounter may well be considered a victory. And I think it's really intriguing that Baylan does go after his desire, and it seems like this is something that will be explored perhaps in a season 2 of Ahsoka. So that's everything from the 7th episode and all the stuff that I took away from it. But now I want to get into the leaks, the rumors, the speculation, and the craziness that could be coming with Baylan and this big reveal, possibly even in episode 8. And I did want to say off the bat that there's some rumors out there right now that we will get a resolution to what is calling to Baylan in the finale of season 1 of Ahsoka. And this is a relatively new report coming from Star Wars Meg, and it actually contradicts reports from that Reddit user who said that the mystery of what's calling to Baylan would likely be explored in season 2. But it is possible that because Ray Stevenson tragically passed, that they changed things and decided to wrap up this mystery a little bit more in season 1 because they won't have Ray around to explore it. I hope that's not true. I hope they would recast because the character's fan-freaking-tastic. It's obviously tragic that Ray is no longer here, but I still think we need to know more about this story and this really intriguing question of what is calling to Baylan. First thing I want to mention is a Reddit user who seems to be getting a lot of stuff right for the Ahsoka series, mentioning that they don't believe Baylan will find what he's looking for until season 2. This person makes it seem like this will be something that is further explored in Ahsoka season 2. Now, that user also did say that people are going too crazy with their theories about what's calling to him and that they don't think it's Abeloth, but I will just say that the comments made by this person seem like they worked on the show and have knowledge of what's actually in the show. And so if Dave didn't put the answer to what is calling Baylan in the first season, this person would technically have no idea what is actually calling to Baylan. They might believe that Abeloth's too crazy, and I totally get that. I think many of you feel that way as well. And Abeloth would be kind of nuts to introduce to Star Wars, especially in this way. But I don't buy that this person actually knows what is calling to Baylan, especially if it's something that's going to be held for season 2. Now, the next bit is pretty spoilery, but also take it with a grain of salt. We don't know if it's 100% accurate. This comes from Jason Ward in Making Star Wars, who reported just weeks ago that they believe not all of our heroes are going to make it back from Peridia to the known galaxy. And Making Star Wars also speculated that this is probably going to be the Ahsoka character herself, that Ahsoka will likely remain on Peridia despite a lot of the main characters from the Ahsoka show coming back into the main galaxy. And perhaps this is what everybody means by saying this show demands a season 2, because it seems like a season 2 of Ahsoka may stay on Peridia, may go into some crazy spots while Thrawn makes his way into the known galaxy and the heroes of the Mandoverse kind of prepare for the heir to the Empire. But there's another scene that was rumored that I think ties into this possibility of Ahsoka staying on Peridia. And this has to do with something that was reported by that Reddit user, and that's that we will see Anakin Skywalker as a Force ghost in the finale. And beyond that, this Force ghost of Anakin Skywalker is apparently going to smile and wave at Ahsoka, and the general sense of what this scene is going to be Anakin being proud of his Padawan, proud that she has kind of come into her own, that she is where she is at. And I kind of can't see that scene taking place on the ship with them actually coming back into the main galaxy. I can't really see that scene having anything to do with Thrawn, because we also think Thrawn's probably going to win and actually escape and get back into our galaxy, which is going to set him up as the big bad for not only the Mandoverse, but for Dave's movie. So the only thing that I can think of that ties these scenes together is Ahsoka realizing that she has to stay on Peridia, understanding the greater cosmic force and what's happening here, and then leaving Sabine and Ezra and Hugh Wang to go back into the galaxy to do their own thing, trusting them and understanding that her place is on Peridia, and making that kind of a sacrifice sacrifice, realizing her purpose would be something to me that would make her master appear as a Force ghost and sort of give her a nod, tell her that she made the right decision. This would actually tie into the idea of Anakin being the new father of the ones and having access to the world between worlds. And one of the things I brought up in my Abeloth video was that Abeloth's connection to the ones and the Mortis Clone Wars arcs and the connection to the world between worlds, it all feels like Anakin presenting himself to Ahsoka in episode 5 is way more meaningful than just him popping up to save her. Her purpose likely has something to do with a darker power, something like Abeloth would make perfect sense to tie into that kind of a destiny. So to me, it would absolutely track if Ahsoka stayed on Peridia, if Anakin acknowledged to her that that was the right decision, and I think it would even make sense for her and Baylan to kind of almost work together, or at least not be completely adversarial as they sort of figured out what was really going on this wasteland. And there's one other scene that I want to bring up here, and it's a scene that actually doesn't exist, but this was a rumored scene that got cut from episode 5. As you guys are probably aware, there were a lot of rumors that we were going to get a scene on Mustafar, which was essentially going to be an Elseworld alternate timeline scene where Anakin was going to show Ahsoka that even if she had stayed with the Jedi Order, Anakin still would have turned to the dark side, and in fact, it would have been up to Ahsoka to stop him on Mustafar, just like Obi-Wan actually did. And again, that scene gets cut, but there was another scene apparently also taking place in the world between worlds, which I think ties into this whole Ahsoka staying there, Baylan's mission, and Abeloth. According to Making Star Wars, there was going to be another scene where we see Ahsoka actually kill Thrawn, and the Purrgil were not needed to help save Lothal, and yet Ahsoka would still have been brought to this moment on Seaghost, and she would have been brought into the world between worlds, and she still would have been driven or pushed towards her destiny. Now, this scene gets cut as well, but it had the feeling and the sort of intention to show the audience that Ahsoka's real destiny lies in Peridia, that her actual goal and what she was supposed to do would be happening in this other galaxy. And even though that scene doesn't exist, I believe a lot of those same ideas still exist in Dave Filoni's head, and this is still a part of the story he's trying to tell. So understanding her purpose and her destiny and realizing that she has to be on Peridia to help stop whatever this ancient crazy power is absolutely fits within the story of Ahsoka, within this theory of Abeloth calling to Baylan, and within the idea of Baylan walking away from his duty, walking away from his Padawan, and going after this power that is calling to him. I kind of feel like Ahsoka is going to walk away from her Padawan. She's going to do the same thing that Baylan is, but maybe for a different reason. And this would kind of make Baylan maybe the son, which was something we were all curious about as far as the pantheon of the Mortis gods and Anakin being the father, Ahsoka being the daughter. Well, it seems like Baylan may well be the son, and perhaps the ones are all together again on Peridia because Abeloth is waking up. She could escape, and that would be a massive problem. So I still think the theory is alive. I think these moments with Baylan are fantastic. I can't wait to see what happens in the finale, and I think this could be a big thing that's being set up for the second season of Ahsoka. Let me know your thoughts on all this craziness. Do you think it's Abeloth? What else could be calling to Baylan? And what do you think's going to happen in the finale? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. See you in the next video.